into a brand new hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton on this Friday, the second ever two-day NBA draft officially in the books. 59 dreams realized over the past 48 hours. Now the offseason acquisitions continue, though, as we dive headfirst into free agency. We're just 3 days away from those conversations getting underway, officially starting on June 30th. Now, we've already seen some buzz for those big-name veterans, right? We've seen Kyrie Irving ink a 3-year extension with the Mavs. We saw Kevin Durant traded to the Rockets. Who's next? Who better to talk about free agency than our girl Nicole Moss, who joins us now here on set here at CBS Sports HQ. Ashley, we're going to put a little spin on this because we like having fun here, right?
Yay.
This is your idea. I'm not going to take credit for this. This is a great idea, by the way.
Are we going to literally put a spin on it?
We're literally going to put a spin on it. We have a wheel that is going to appear. It's got a couple of teams on there that are expecting to add some pieces there. We're looking for best fits when it comes to the 2025 season. So here's our wheel. We're going to spin the wheel. It's going to land on a team, and Ashley is going to give us our team needs. So let's go. Let's spin the wheel, get started, see what team we have first.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
I know. I'm like, do I look behind me? Do I look in front of me?
Where will it land? I don't know.
It's almost the Knicks.
Almost. It's the Los Angeles Lakers.
All right, so almost the Knicks. Instead, it's the Lakers. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about the Knicks later. We'll have to wait and see. But when it comes to L.A., right, we know what happened with L.A. this year, right? They pulled off the shock of the century trading for Luka, and it still didn't get them any closer to an NBA championship. We also know that LeBron James has that player option looming as well. What are the biggest needs for J.J. Redick in year 2?
For me, it is a center, a center, a center. Look, when you traded away Anthony Davis to get Luka, you traded away a good portion of not only your defense, but what makes the offense move and groove as well, because Anthony Davis was a player who not only can give you that center position, but also was able to have the ball in his hand a lot of the times when LeBron James was playing off the ball, right? But when you talk about Luka specifically, and you know this, Haley, as a Mavericks fan, Luka's at his best when he plays with a center or multiple centers. In Dallas, it was Gafford and it was Lively. He does not have that in LA. And yes, they have Dorian Finney-Smith, but you need a bigger acquisition, I believe. So these were two names that I put into the mix. I think Nick Claxton would be a phenomenal pick. He's a realistic trade target for the Lakers, and he fits their need as a defensive anchor. And then Clint Capella, who he's a vet. You could obviously get him for the mid-level exception. You can pay him the vet minimum, and if the Lakers choose to pursue him, then they also give themselves a little bit more wiggle room to get additional pieces, which they desperately need. But if you're going to get the most out of Luka, you need to give him a center, and for me, those are the two best available.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I went back and looked at the exact number of that player option for LeBron James. It's over $52 million, by the way. So he'll be around. By the way, my birthday's on Sunday, so when he has, that's the deadline for him to opt into that contract. So well, LeBron, if you're listening, I can hold $1 for you if you're interested. All right, let's move on. Or several, right? Let's go back to the wheel and spin and see where we go next. Obviously, Ashley, this time of year
I love the music, I gotta say.
I'm just gonna say, we're feeling like a carnival.
Yeah, the music's the best part of this whole thing.
So we did the Lakers. Up next. Oh, okay, wheel being spicy. So we get the other side of that Luka Doncic trade, right? And look, I'm happy. We got Cooper Flagg. It's hard to replace what Luka Doncic does in Dallas, but they're already coining this a big three with Cooper and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. But the reality is we don't know when we see Kyrie. He has that injury. We also know that when we did see AD initially, it was a tough first game, right? He got hurt right away. What other pieces need to be built around Cooper Flagg if this team is going to get back to the finals?
The benefit of the Dallas Mavericks is this is a really good basketball team. This is a great basketball team, and to be this good of a team in the Western Conference is nothing that you should take lightly. That's a tough conference, as we know, the tougher of the two. The biggest thing is this
Look at
season,
starting five.
This starting five is phenomenal when healthy, and that's the key here, right? That's the star next to the word healthy, the asterisk. But here's the thing. I think that this season is going to be a learning experience for the Dallas Mavericks for a multitude of reasons. Anthony Davis is going to have to get reacclimated. Obviously, we know he dealt with injury. Kyrie Irving, you're going to be without him. Cooper Flagg is making that transition from the collegiate game to the professional game. There's a lot of moving parts. So it's not going to be this season where it's like, oh, we're getting the return on our investment. You're lucky that you got the #1 pick, so be there. But what they do need to look at, because of the absence of Kyrie Irving, get yourself a point guard. And for me, the best point guard available, get me Chris Paul if I am the Dallas Mavericks. Why? Chris Paul is a veteran point guard who can keep things afloat for when Kyrie Irving does come back, because he is going to make a return at some point in the season. And also, the benefit of Chris Paul is this: he's not going to cost you a lot of money. And if you are the Dallas Mavericks, you just renegotiated with Kyrie Irving to opt out of his player option, opt in for more years, and we haven't seen the breakdown of what that contract looks like yet, but it could be more on the back end. So the first year is not a lot of money. He gets more of that in the back, which helps you sign exactly what you need, and that is a point guard to hopefully keep this team afloat, because they could still be a play-in team or a later playoff team. You just have to make sure you have a point guard to run that offense while Kyrie's not on the floor.
And that was kind of the issue in the play-in last year, where they got to the second round, lost to the Grizzlies, and, you know, that was how the season ended. But okay, Mavs, let's keep it going here. Roll our wheel one more time. By the way, I will throw in, yesterday when we were chatting with Tim Doyle when it came to the draft, he said Cooper Flagg already a future Hall of Famer.
Whoa!
So we'll leave that where it is with the
Ace
Mavericks.
Bailey was Tracy McGrady reincarnated.
All right, let's talk about the Nuggets next.
Yeah.
They land on our wheel here. Obviously, Denver fans are still kind of reeling from Josh Kroenke coming out and saying,
insane,
maybe a potential to trade Jokic. I did go back and kind of look at the context of that conversation. It really was a hypothetical. He wasn't saying he was going to trade him. They want to get out of that second apron. But the reality is they didn't win a championship this year, and anytime you don't win a championship, it's a disappointment. So what pieces are we putting around Jokic, especially if they offer him that extension later this year and he doesn't take it?
Yeah, here's the thing. There's two situations going on in Denver right now. You got to figure out what you're doing with Michael Porter Jr. That has kind of been the question mark of a few seasons now for the Denver Nuggets. But the biggest thing is you need another guard. You need a backup guard to help Jamal Murray. I think that Jamal Murray is phenomenal, but he can't do everything himself. And you kind of you have to get him somebody who can help him carry that load, and also help with that second unit and get some of that depth back that the Denver Nuggets had once upon a time a couple of seasons ago, especially when they won the championship. So there were two names for me that I was looking at. One is Gary Trent Jr. and the other is Caris LeVert. I think that Gary Trent Jr. had a phenomenal season, a solid season, I should say, coming off the bench for the Milwaukee Bucks. He made 180 3-pointers, 41.6% from the deep, and also was taking advantage of shots that were generated by Giannis. You don't have a problem getting shots generated. You have the best player in the world in Nicole Jokic. You know how I feel about the big man in Denver. And then Caris LeVert. I think that Caris LeVert is a player that has kind of gone under the radar, but I think that he is a player who can bring a lot, especially at that wing position. And I think that both of those guys, for different reasons and then same reasons, can really help this Denver Nuggets team get more scoring, get more aggressive offensively, and not have to rely so much on Jamal Murray, who sometimes goes up and down throughout the course of a season.
Especially when those injuries start to kick in. We saw that with Jamal Murray, and he got banged up a little bit in the postseason. That full quote from Kroenke, by the way, he said, quote, "I think there are rules around the second apron we need to be very careful of with our injury history." He went on to say, "The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario I never want to have to contemplate, and that is trading 15. So that's the context of that conversation. We spin the wheel once again here. I can't imagine. I mean, like, I feel like we already learned what happens to a fan base when you trade away a generational
that wouldn't
star.
Be a good idea for Denver.
Do not recommend for any other fan base.
Yeah, absolutely not. And certain things are legal in Denver, and people who already are not
it's a wild place.
Are very chill, and just, you don't want to see them angry.
All right, let's keep the chill conversation going, and we draw the Milwaukee Bucks. Kind of a two-parter here for you, Ashley, because we have to. It starts with Giannis, right? And what's going to happen with him going forward. Sam Quinn, one of our basketball analysts, has a great article up right now. The skinny of it: basically Giannis isn't expected to move this summer. But what do you think when you factor in Tyrese Halliburton's injury and Jason Tatum's injury? It kind of feels like the East is a little more open. How much does that weigh in on Giannis's conversation to stick around?
It might weigh on it heavily. I mean, you got to think about it. The West, we keep talking about, is a much more stacked conference, and I feel like, yes, there has been a changing of the guard, but I think that changing of the guard in the Western Conference has just put other teams in the forefront. It hasn't necessarily opened up the conference. So if you're Giannis and you want to win, which he does, he's made that very clear, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity to do that. Now, my dreams of Giannis going to the San Antonio Spurs, which is a team that I was pushing for, may be kind of out the window with them actually using that second pick to get Dylan Harper, and that's going to be a phenomenal team. Their ceiling is so high. So what the Milwaukee Bucks need to do or get for Giannis, whatever he wants. That's really what the answer is, because you got to think about this. Damian Lillard probably going to miss the entire season. If he does come back, it's going to be at the very tail end. And we already knew how thin this roster was after you got past Giannis and Dame. That was part of the reason why the playoffs just did not go well for the Milwaukee Bucks, because Dame is hurt, and then the responsibility is solely on Giannis, and there's not much left there. The situation with Kyle Kuzma didn't really manifest into what maybe they thought that it was going to when they brought him on board, or maybe he is the piece to a three-way puzzle of Giannis, Dame, and Kuzma. So if you take Dame out of the equation, it kind of throws the whole ideology off its rails. Whatever Giannis wants, go get it for Giannis. I don't care if that puts you in the second apron, first apron, 0.5 apron. It doesn't matter. If you want it, go get it. Pay the luxury tax, because you don't get a player like Giannis every draft.
Yeah, I like how you said that. It's interesting too when you think about, you know, what pieces need to be put in place. It's you know, Giannis's world, and we're just living in it. If you had to key in on a position or a group that the Bucks need for him to be successful, what would it be?
You got to get him more scoring help. So that's going to be a point guard, somebody who can run your offense a little bit, let Giannis do what he does. You might want to go ahead and get yourself a shooting guard as well. You need to surround him with as many offensive pieces as you can, because again, this roster is so thin, and there's not much there to facilitate scoring.
Yeah, and you mentioned Damian Lillard. Of course, we will not see him in 2025 because of that Achilles injury. All right, we go back to the wheel. I believe this is our last topic, Ashley. So we've already talked about a few of these teams. Let's see where it takes us next. What team would you want it to land
Obviously, it's the Knicks. Come on, give me something I can get passionate.
That's fair. I got the Mavs. You get the New York Knicks. Okay, Ashley, so when I look at the Knicks, the first thing that comes to mind for me is they need a coach, right? You can't do anything without a coach.
Desperately.
So that's kind of my biggest need there. But the coach also needs to be able to coach players, right? So two-parter here. Let's talk about the coach, and let's talk about your biggest need. What do you think?
All right, we need a coach. Obviously, all these guys are already in committed relationships. Don't know why the Knicks were trying to be the side piece, but I digress. I'm looking at guys like Taylor Jenkins. I'm looking at guys like Micah Nori. I'm looking at guys like Johnny Bryant. Guys who have a variety of different experience, whether it's as a head coach, an assistant coach on winning teams. You got to go after somebody who is available, though. That's the key to the
They're watching too much Love Island out in New York, right? Where you're just dipping in and you're stepping on toes. We got to get down to business here. Pick someone who's not in a couple.
It's nasty, right? But when you talk about what this Knicks team needs, it's outside shooting, it's a bench. So for me, there's two guys that I'm leaning towards. Once again, Gary Trent Jr. is a name that's coming up in the mix. Like I said, 183 pointers, 41.6% from deep. He's good at spacing the floor from three. He's guarding the perimeter. He's occasionally scoring with the ball in his hands. He is the type of guy who just absolutely explosively dominate a second unit. Also, Tyus Jones, a strong backup point guard option who can really provide playmaking, shooting, and potentially can do it all for a very reasonable contract. And you are the New York Knicks, who are already paying a bunch of guys. You want to do this as cheaply as possible. I think these two are your best options to do that.
All right, New York Knicks. We need to get Ashley back in go New York mode.
I know,
so cater to her needs.
It's been a little sad for me these past few weeks, but I'm okay. Next season.
Next season. Next season for me in Dallas, because Ashley tells us we're in a rebuild. That's all right. We'll see how it shakes out. You can get more of Ashley and all the drama in the NBA by checking out her show, Triple Threat. Comes on CBS Sports Network every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. And you can also catch the action replaying on YouTube.